Hi YouTube, Duke Basie here once again. As I said, I'm going to be constantly reminding you of the biggest Black History Month event in Europe, which will be held in Birmingham on the 5th of October. Unfortunately, Professor James Small won't be there, but the event is still going to be massive still. And for further information, just listen to this advert.
After a huge success of the event last year, we're back with Black History Activity Book Launch Part 2 with special guest the Royal Highness Queen Diambi of the Democratic Congo, Professor James Small, Mfudishi, Charmaine Simpson, and Dr. Mark Wilcott. Building solidarity in the Black community through our history. Come and learn how great you are. Make sure you support all the vendors in the biggest African cultural market in the UK. This event will be held Saturday the 5th of October from 12 till 7 p.m. This event will be held at the Bingley Hall, 1 Hockley Circus, Hockley, Birmingham, B18 5PP. For stalls, call 07896 494 056. Follow Black History Activity Books on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This is a family event, so bring all the children to the Black History Activity Book Launch Part 2, the biggest Black history event in England. Get your free tickets from Eventbrite today.
Now remember, I'm going to be constantly reminding you about that. That's the 5th of August, the biggest Black History Month event in Europe. This is the Duke Basie channel featuring Mutabaruka on YouTube.
This is the Coaching General from there with your next wins. I tell you, say, this from my left until now, I don't rest good yet. Pure things are going. Jamaica busy. Jamaica really busy. There's not a dull day, man, in Jamaica, not anymore. Yes, so I yell up some youth we just meet in a Montego this weekend, yeah. I play on a set there. I don't remember the set name, but I tell you, I go among some youth and every one of them have a cup in them hand. We can't stop think about it. Every youth have a cup in them hand. And I tell you, a peer rum. Yeah, man. By midnight, all of them drunk. I tell you, this is something, this is a phenomenon in Jamaica now where every youth have to walk up and down with a cup. I drive behind a truck a while ago. I come down. Not South Highway there, the Mandela Highway, and some youth in a back of a truck. A cup them have in them hand. This rum thing, rum people, them are beard nowadays. G and him nephew, Jerry and him nephew, them and them have had a rum, you know, but the thing gone now, the thing gone, because what we are seeing now is that the youth, them, even in the political arena, the way things say, the youth, them would have tried change up the thing and make the thing better. But the thing now get better, man. No, man. I mean, I take no blame for that neither, you know. Because I can't promise the youth, them, I don't know. I never teach no youth to do them something there. You understand? You know, them are dancing at the dance hall, where them are wear, or where them not wearing. It's amazing. It's amazing to see the girls, them, not wearing anything. I don't know. It get away, but, you know, every generation blame the generation before them. I really not blame the generation before me still. And I would have hoped that my children, them don't come blame me. Because so far, so good. I don't know about film pick me. If them film pick me, I go blame them. But some things are going on, you know, amongst the youth them where nobody can tell about say me feel nothing because me no responsible for them something there. Like a youth a cut off all another youth penis. And what is that all about, man? Them all a 15-year-old youth with a gun the other day and them say them want him for other trouble when they go on with from a longer time. And the crisis go on and on and on and on and on. But you can't see a whole heap of them thing there. It's a family structure breakdown. And the family structure is that the family nowadays is not like how family used to stay. Family nowadays is like my daughter, child. So my daughter, child, have a child, and my daughter is now a grandmother. And can you believe it now? I am now a great grandfather. That is how the thing I work out. So when I did the thing say, it stop on my daughter and her picnic. No, my daughter, the possibility of she being a grandmother is soon coming. And there's many little daughters like that out there will become grandmothers before them time. Therefore, if they become grandmothers before them time, therefore the mother, the mother of them child of their the daughter of their mother is now a mother herself. And it becomes very strange that children are having children, and then now you see a breakdown in the family structure. No breakdown in the family structure if children having children. And right now in Jamaica, children have children because when we see some woman and them say them have grand pick me. I mean I say you have grand pick me. I mean so much you only is them I say them have 40 and all them something. I say right 40 you have grand pick me. That means say you could have started a pick even if you have pick me at 20. Your pick me now come have pick me. So you have grand pick me. You have grand pick me. It get away. It get away when you see grandmothers. I got dance. And first time when you see grandmother, I got dance. You know, it's only a fool dance, man. You know, and everybody I say, yes, granny, yes, granny. Nobody knows that again. Granny jump up on all box. Granny jump up on all box and cock out her 2 legs, one in the north, south, one in the north of the highway, one in the south of the highway. A man just turn up in her kitchen and jump on her. A granny that up on the ground, you know. First time I want to be granny that. See, because you don't look on her and say she's too young for be granny, but it's a granny. It's a grandmother that lay down on the ground and wait for a man come drunk between her what's. First time granny is a laughing stock at dance. When you see a granny at dance, you say, granny, where you at there? So granny say, hey, you think say a young girl and you can't dance like me? And she started to dance and everybody stop and look on her and I laugh. And I say, hey, granny. That not there again. Granny a dance. Granny is the center of attraction still. But the dance that she's doing cannot be accepted as a dance. That is not dance again. That is not dance again. I am not taking no blame. I'm not taking no blame. But is we feel the youth them. I don't feel no youth. Because it's youth now have youth. And if youth have youth, them can't do what I did do as it relates to children. Because the system and the society set up a different way now to mix and confuse everything. And the guys them will sit on the hierarchy of middle class white men who sit down and control the place. Them decide what you must do or what you mustn't do, when you must do it, how you must do it, and where you must do it. These men sit down with them so-called millennials and plan out strategies how to control your mind by any means necessary. You hear Facebook has finally said, legitimately, Facebook has finally admitted that they are listening to your conversations. Not everybody's conversation, because them choose who them want to listen to and read what you write. And all the while we have been saying these things. We have been saying these things that your television is watching you. Your smart television, you have smart TV, you know, where you think you turn it off and it don't turn off. And sometimes you have to unplug it fully. When you're in a plane, or them to put your plane on what them call it? Anyway, them have a thing where you put your plane on now airplane mode. That's it, don't give off radiations. That is why them tell you to put it on airplane mode, them don't want to give off radiation. If you have your phone in your house and it don't lock off and battery in night or it plug in, them can know what you're saying and what you're doing and what you're writing on WhatsApp, up Instagram and all these things. The whole of this week, them lock off me Instagram. The whole of this week. Me there I call Brian, I say, Brian, them lock off Instagram, you know, what happened? All of a sudden, I say, me post something. And I say, what? And I tell you, me say, my Instagram gone, no, all right, me now get to post nothing else again. I told them Instagram come back, you know, with some blackout. blackout, like love things, blackout. So, what me I say is that if them know where you post when you post it, them have the power to listen to you and write and know what are the main internet network is now admitting, Facebook is now admitting that they have the power to listen to your conversation and read what you write. So you see all of them little happy gay people things. When I say gay, I don't mean in terms of homosexuality, I talk about happy, hype up. When you put something there, so it not left it. It not left it, you know. For 100 years time, people are look at you, do the report madness what you do. And when no whole heap of ones, sorry say, them that start out a certain way, even certain artists now lament that boy, when them used to do them time there, and children was young and foolish. We say Al Buju just make a tune the other day talk about it. When them did young and this and that and all them where them do stupid things. We say Al Bounty Killer, sit down in that studio and talk about it, say if you know him, they know then he won't call himself Bounty Killer. We say ladies are come and repent and God and Jesus. And we say, boy, right now, a long time we are talking to her now. We do the longest interview with Lady Sign at the studio here. 4 hours me have Lady Sign up on the cutting edge. And this and that, and they take her after about 15 to 20 odd years after. She just changed up. And now you have another one I know named Spice now, where say she take over from Lady Sign and Ghana and Spice, and then you have the little sister them where that feels that make a difference in the music industry by bringing some sanity to it. You can hear them every day. It's this and that and who have seasoned mouth and some terrible things these young ladies talking and dealing with. And these are the ones now who control the thing. Them control it. You have some youth in America sit down in some high-rise building and sit down and decide where you must listen to, where you must wear, how you must look. I mean, I talk about no whole man, no, I talk about 30 to like 45. These so-called young people who we hear say are old people mash up the place at time we know. Look on what is going on now. Look where I go on now. Look on the music we are make. Look on the kind of dance we are keep. Look on the clothes we are wear. The food we are eat. You think our old people plan that? Old people pay you for sit down and say, watch out, come up with something different. I got them do, them just say, alright, watch out. I'm going to give you a grant to figure out how to listening to people. I'm say, alright, we're going to make a television when name smart TV or smartphone. And them just go so bam and just go in for your conversation. Your phone will ask you some things where you never answer, where you never tell them to ask you. Yeah man, sometimes you put on your phone and you hear one little girl. The most amazing thing is really the car thing, you know, the GPS them when them having a car, you know. Me I tell you the GPS them not easy, you know. Me I drive an American, it's like nobody can find nowhere again. First time I drive America, me say, where we are going to go, so say, all right, we are going to go, so we just look at a little map and say, oh, go so, boom, gone. You are driving in New York, you go Canal Street, or you go Delancey Street, or you go cross the Bronx or something. You just drive. No people who live in a them place, they can't drive without this little thing, each up and say, come and attack to you, and this woman attack to you, and all them something. And one night, me and her daughter driving a land that, and we are go somewhere, and she say, she turn on her Jeep, she say she have GPS and she GPS. She said she nah listen to it. Me say, watch her. Listen to the thing, you know, because you don't put it in the car for find no way. Because I know say if you never have it, just like our first time now, would I try remember telephone number. Now me can't remember no telephone number, I remember the name of the person. So when I look at my phone at the name, I look for me, I remember the number. My brains can't function the number, that is my granny thinking. Because my granny count any money, but she can't read. Any money. You can't trick her. And then she sell you something, so know how much money she will give back, how much change you forget, and she divide that. If you buy 3 things, you get that how much £4 a yam, this and that, you multiply that, boom, boom. By the time you ready, check, she don't tell you, say, and this it come up to, you know, how much money you have, 5 shillings, all right, you forget about this change. But she can't read. Now, me I tell you, say, most of the people, them can't read and them can't check. Because if them don't have the computer in front of them, it's salt. So the thing get away now because, as me I say, one, there was that time when a whole heap of sisters was not in the music business in Jamaica, and everybody ball out and said this is a male-dominated business and male-dominated this and male. I will hope and wish why you have some more women in the music business. Now we see a whole heap of women in the music business, but guess what? I don't see the music business get no better because women in there. I say women do some things now and I show off some little things and I behave some little way and them no care. They must say for them life. And them kind of little stubborn talk there. Stubborn talk. Just like come used to hear what she name like Lady Sa. Lady Sa say a fair life. She live it how she want to live it. Well, nobody not say enough to live it how you want to live it. But the consequences of living a certain way, down the line, it's going to bother you. And you're not going to show it to bother you, you know. Your conscience going to bother you, but you're not going to show it because of pride. So when you come out of the millennial number, age, and you're reaching another age, you know, past all the 50 mark, now you say, you mean, I'm really used to do them things there. And you hide everything from your picnic. Yes, you know why your picnic knows say you used to do that, and you know why your picnic knows say you do that. But guess what? You can't tell them nothing. Because a man I say, oh, I live my whole life, you know, me no business, you live all your life, and me live all my life. Me no business what you want to say. That's all them I say. Me no business what you want to say. Them say experience teacheth wisdom, you know. And it's true, your experience things only a fool learn from your own experience. Only a fool learn from your own experience. Me tell you, say fire hot, and you go out and say, leave me alone, make it burn me. And you push out and it burn out your hand to right it. Because me didn't know say fire hot already, because me don't get burned from it. So if me tell you, say fire hot, you know, and you know why I accept it. Push out the night, since you want to experience it. So, the reason why I'm here to that is to say this, that me see some things are going on amongst the youth them nowadays, you know, that me I say, it's weird, man. And you can't talk to them, you can't tell them nothing. Them, first of all, they must start to say, Muta, yeah, old man, you know, that's the first thing. Because the first thing Brian let me know inside that me a dinosaur, you know. And me just say, yeah, me a dinosaur. But guess what? You see the things them where you are to know. Watch when your picnic come up and you start to tell him certain things and see if he's going to listen to you. Because I know say my picnic they have to listen to me. Yeah, my picnic they have to listen to me. But it's a different thing now from a man past 20 now and you're nothing from a man over 50. From a man past 20, I said 20. From a man past 17, him no want hear nothing from nobody we over 50. And that him a talk about, and I said, no sir, 50, no sir, an old man that. I mean, I don't know where a 20-year-old can do what me can do. I don't know what him can do that I cannot do. That more I like find out. What can a 20-year-old do that I cannot do? This is the cutting edge on IRFM. We're there, we do, you know. Yes, this is the cutting edge. We want to play like a sister where we have another program. Sit down when you're for 4 hours with me. Sister, come here to do some poetry party this poem festival. And we decided to say, well, we have to bring her in the studio. She named Sonny Patterson. Here we go.
We have not always found comfort in killers. We have not always found solace being rocked in the bosoms of those who silently pray and openly destroy. No, not always have we mistaken mimicry for mastery, or pretending for knowing, or enslavement for freedom. But across my memory marches millions, bold, regal, resilient, confident, unshackled feet stumping up spirits to guide us through this fickle material world. We like sun and moon folk, universal souls praying our prayers, singing our songs. Eshu, Ogun, Shango, Yemoja, Oshun, Obatala, Oya, Dambala, Aida, Wedora, Nkango, Olodumare, and Yame. We know all of you by name. We are people of beginnings, of culture, of strength. Not always have we given in to the empty threats and scare tactics of the powerless ones. Not always have we allowed the blood of our sons and daughters to color the streets while we're walking asleep, marching to the beat of death siren song. They're still wearing their sheets with nooses in reach, showing their teeth and smiling, it seems. But I hear in the breeze, in the rustle of the trees, in the dangling of the feet, they say, please don't let them ever forget. You see, not always have we suffered from amnesia. Not always have we forgotten how to conjure up spirits, ancestor wisdom, fix up a mixture, spiritual elixir, ancient traditions. We like magicians, God like vision. We are people of sight, so no, not always have we fallen for this okie doke or inhaled the hazardous smoke of the manipulators or been satisfied with crumbs from meals our hands have prepared. Hughes said life for us ain't been no crystal stair, but at least the steps are there to push us up higher, teach us how to go beyond the destroyer's disguises, look them in the eyes and be able to see. Cause what's surprising when you know the nature of a beast, and especially when they've shown the same face for centuries. So you tell me, what's the difference between two sisters in New Orleans shot point blank in the back of the head and two women bombed in their car in Baghdad, or government sanctioned killings in Kenya and a sister held hostage in a house in Virginia, or poverty in Haiti, poverty in Jamaica, rape in Rwanda or rape in Somalia, a sweatshop in China or one in Guatemala, or smallpox and blankets, syphilis and Tuskegee, formaldehyde and FEMA, ethnic cleansing and Katrina. I recall within the speech Dr. King made us aware. He said injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, so they can spare us that drama, We got the heart of them field working mamas. We carry the torch of that ancestor fire. So with every fiber that flutters in our being, with every find that comes from our seeking, with every hearing that comes from our listening, and every sight that comes from our seeing, we must be faithful, strategic, victorious, and free.
Yes, Sonny Pattison. Serious lyrics, serious words from the poet. We want to give you wait, you never know you're still about. We want to give you a next poem. And we've been playing this poem here for a couple of weeks now, and we get people say Muta, who did that poem there? I hope people think it's a fire. No, it's Jinso. Call himself the mighty Jinso. It's Jinso did the poem. And we're going to play it again and again and again because, yes, a poem.
Without confidence, you're twice defeated in the race of life. But with confidence, you have won before you have even started. Let me take into the halls of Timbuktu, when the teachers were you and the scholars were you. We mapped out the stars, knew when the comets flew, traveling the seven seas on a rendezvous. Way before Marco Polo and his crew even knew the sky made the sea blue. Before they found out the world was not flat, we were building pyramids and practicing Mahat, using compasses and sketching out maps, walking valleys and climbing snow caps. When white guys were in caves taking naps, we were throwing dice, we were playing craps, reciting poetry and spitting out raps with a graceful bow as the audience claps. Back in the days when we praise Amen Ra, back in the days when we raised by the law, showing respect to our ma and our pa, saying good morning to elders we saw. Before Genghis Khan was taking lands, before Farrakhan was preaching Islam, salam, you alaykum. We were saying peace unto you, brother man. So why enslave my people and take my lands, take my treasures, put them in Buckingham, in Vatican and Smithsonian? Told me I had no civilization when I is the king of this creation. We were going to space before they went to the moon. Living in castles with 1,000 rooms. By the river Nile waiting for a monsoon. The banks will overflow and the flowers will bloom. Harvest the crops April, May, June. Bury our pharaohs in golden tombs. And if you open this tomb, your life will end soon like a curse from King Tut or Hatshepsut. So, come follow me. Back into the past, into the pyramids where spells are cast, where the pharaoh's treasures are great and vast, hieroglyphics on the walls, forever last. I went and took up a mask. Asked master, what's my task? Hold a meditation and I hold my fast, and I hope one day to find my path. Conquer my desires, control my wrath. Jump in the Nile, take a spiritual bath. Karma master has the eyes of the heart. See if I'm wise or just plain smart. I must be humble to develop my art. From the book of the dead, I will never depart. Know all the ways from the end to the start. Read my books, watch people's looks. Penny their motives, they could be crooks. Lurking around on the lower down, but I know they're coming cause I hear the drum sound from deep in the jungle where the tigers live, where yin and yang meet and we live positive, where yin and yang meet and we live positive, where yin and yang meet and we live up. So without confidence, you're twice defeated in the race of life. But with confidence, you have won before you have even started.
Yeah, man, I tell you, Jinso, big poem that. This is the cutting edge on IRFM. You know that IRFM is about to unleash the 28th anniversary of the Marcus Garvey tribute right here on the grounds of IRFM. This Sunday. Yeah, this Sunday, big thing, big thing. And the thing about it is that it's free. Every year it's free. Never pay $1 coming here yet. And every year we have to say the same thing. Because when I come back here before it happened, but you see this dirtiness that all heap of Jamaican people carry with them, where them lost left trash all over the place and the time them gone away. Unbelievable. This place is a small place. But we know that when it cark in here, it cark. And you know, the ones them always put up things so people throw garbage in here, but it obviously never really make no difference to the guests them will come here. But one drink something, just drop it right time foot. When you go to a road, it's amazing, you know, all the seller them out there. I want no care how them do the thing. We are going to appeal again, you know. We are going to appeal to all the ones them who come in here to sell or who is buying. Remember how you come and see the place. Remember how you come and see the place, because it was presented to you in a clean environment, both outside the gate and inside. And with a hope say the people them recognize it and really try them best. Especially the one them out a road there, government road there, where all the cane trash and the coconut, this and the all sort of thing with them on the road where you have to clean up. It's a terrible sight. You know, so we ask the people them should just be conscious of that. Well, you know that there's a lot of artists that will be presented on the program. And one of the artists them is Liquor John. I remember Liquor John.
Respect Muta.
You know, say, you can't hear me?
Can I hear good Muta? Good.
All right. You know, say, remember the night when you come down and say you got St. Elizabeth?
I remember when
You know, remember the night when you come down and say you're supposed to reach at St. Elizabeth?
Yes.
You reach at St. Elizabeth yet?
Yeah, man. At them time, I think Eddie Pitcher was alive, right?
Yeah, man. You say you got up. It was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah.
All right. So you're one of the features artists them on the show, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let me ask you a question now. When you hear say they're on a Marcus Garvey show, is them call you or how it go? How it go? Is them call you for come on it?
Well, yeah. That call me get.
Yeah, so you never wonder how come a Marcus Garvey show and you're on it?
Well, it's always
because I remember you saying nothing about Marcus.
Those kind of shows, and I don't believe in just one kind of. Cause my songs them is not people only know. Some people only know Liquor John as a youth where sing some Sharon are pregnant and all over me and them stuff. But remember, say I also do songs like Got to Go Down on My Knees and Pray to Jah. I always do songs like Because Them Work So Hard, Carrying Him Go Abroad, Them Smoke Ganja Hard,
yes.
and many others. You understand? So I sing songs. If people can go on YouTube and play and big up Liquor John, they see which part my thing is coming from. My thing is coming from roots rock reggae.
Yes. How long now you know this thing? How long you know?
I'm in this business from 8 years of age.
That make it how much years? 90?
That make it. I'm 54 now.
Okay, a long time.
Very long time. Listen, I'm in this business when Sugar Mine at a rain, me a rain too. And I was one of the youth on promotion.
No, remember when you get all artists of the year and all them something there.
Get all artists of the year. Me a yellow man used to run.
Yeah, man, remember, man.
Yeah.
Remember you get artists of the year. All right, we're going to remind the people them who are talk to me. We're going to remind the people them. People, that is Liquor John, man. Yes, Liquor John.
Yeah.
Them children is big.
Let me tell you something now in our motor. Because I feel so honored to be talking to you right now on the radio. Because here we go on now. You see, when we there in San Diego, I perform, white people I sing my song there. And I know none of them sing here. And I know all over me, work us so hard, and them sing there. They have a different list. For me, the songs them that they know when me grace the stage, the white people, I sing my song them word to word. Some song like If All the Girls Should Live Across the Ocean. Some songs like reggae dance. You understand me?
Yeah, the one that were not popular out here.
Them songs gonna play at Jamaica.
Yeah, that me I say. Well, I find the most artists surprised when them go foreign. I hear the song
them have a list. Because they go see my list, I'm a figure one list. Because I work so hard, I have a true confession list. Sharon are pregnant, I have some songs. It's a different list them provide.
Yeah, everywhere.
You understand me?
Yeah. And if you go in Africa, you're going to hear them play a different kind of song.
They have a different kind of song. That's because, let me tell you something now. I was one of the singers with Barry G. Tell them, say, please don't put out no more song with Liquor John. Because song is killing song. Understand? In the 80s.
Yeah.
You understand me? So at the end of the day, me come with a style when them sing J, which is the whole Jamaica don't realize that. When me come with a style, and when me come with a style, them say I come for mash up music business. And me tell them say, we have to come with something. We come with the sing J style, and right now I eat all of the man them from the Mavado, from the whole of them, of my something them inner. I mean, never go on the radio yet, but tell people, say, well, then, Bury some of them sing. Lift it up, jack it up, pull it up, and my something them a sing.
Yeah. Well,
Understand?
well, you know, the man say, a prophet is Lord and in them own country, and sometimes you do something and people come now and do it, and through them get bigger and popular than you.
Yes.
People feel that them originated.
But me always tell people this in a motor.
Yeah.
Say, listen, me believe in sowing, you know. But anybody, anybody want to reap. You understand? But I believe in sowing. But the only thing we want the people to know, say, go certain artists go on the media and tell people, say, well, then I used to sing Liquor John song when I was at cabaret. I sing at some hotel at some place on the North Coast. And I just tell them, say, I'll be a Liquor John, I must be nice.
Yeah.
You understand? While some people does not do that, because me, I don't, right now, between me and Buta, is a jive theater here, because I can't get to express myself.
So let me ask you something. You still a tour, though? Don't you still a tour?
But people can't stop. They're one of the artists where ever depend the road.
Your advantage mileage enough.
Yes, ever depend the road. They're one of the only youth where in the hype, I'm well alright, coming in the hype,
Of
hype
course.
gone away.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to hear that, because I see the eye out the road still, even though the eye not see eye, but I see the eye still.
Yeah, man, because let me tell you something, Muta is a man of respect to the very grown where you walk on car. We come on one dance, one night, you have sugar miner place there.
Yeah.
And you draw some one away liquor John, and I say, no, Muta, have it locked it up.
Me remember the night, man. A store have sound system there on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You understand? So at the end of the day, me better, me say youth with us a humble youth, and me just know say them a do the shows them in Jamaica, and me not ask them for none. And if them do call, but when they're ready for a show,
Yeah.
they do it. But me not call, no show people for nothing.
You understand?
When me do
When
a
I
show,
tell you that, I tell you, I know, you see when they come here.
we go do a show because we make more money more than where them think.
Yeah.
But you understand me? Because once you see me going a foreign, we can't go in a foreign, we don't have a problem. I make my food up on my table.
Yeah.
You understand?
But it's when they come here Sunday. It's when they come here Sunday and they draw some of them tuna. You go see the reaction, because the people them going to say, who name Liquor John? It's when them hear the tuna. They say, oh, I name Liquor John, wicked. I say, go ahead on. Because you hear them call up about the place. Them know the tune. I can tell you.
Listen, I never go nowhere yet in the world I have a flap show. But the pan shows in America with people and the youth them say, the local youth them say the only person them want to come lecture to them and Liquor John and work for artists there. Understand? I remember them have some community radio and the whole world.
Yeah.
For that day in America. You understand? Because at the end of the day, me have some song. Remember, you know, me do song like Give the Youth a Try now.
Yeah.
Give the youth man a try now. Just go on YouTube and put in Give the Youth a Try now. Listen, I have some song with no voice. They have some song with no voice. Fine like a girl, you know. Some song like Wait Till Me Put On the Robe, you know. When me do when they are 8 years of it, and me do the first time my voice going on song is straight away. Me Sugar Miner and I used to name Captain Simbad. And me have the look of voice. You know, I say, God, you Simbad, God, 51 star, me never bought.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
who did I record with first? Who first did I record with?
Sugar Miner to the first person. One of King Tubbies. Sugar Miner to the first person that ever blessed my song on a track. Then we go to when you roots tradition. That time I could provide song like a girl. A long time I eat from my voice fine like till when my voice mature.
Yeah.
Song when name you string a song in the land for Henry John Jalas.
Yeah.
And then after that we go to Channel 1. We do a song when you record the Mercos for Jojo. And Jojo was selling the song on their plate. And said, people, everybody will come buy this song on their plate. We go and find Liquor John. And I in the studio and I saw just like, you know, John, so I didn't know where I sing something funny. And when me sing so panta work so hard, come out of my mouth.
Yes.
And from me sing work so hard, everything just broke for me.
And they started some covers, True Confession and all them tune, the big tune them.
And them tune there.
Yeah, big tune them.
Come hardly do covers. Me hardly do covers. Because most of me song them come out of me.
Yeah.
Most of me song them it come out of me. And me sing all the song with them, all who gone already.
Yeah. Remember that. I'm going to play that cover here where they do where it big. Because that cover here is big in them time. Yeah, this is the Cutting Edge on RFM. Okay, here we go. Pat Clark.
Welcome to Jamaican Roots and Culture. I'm Pat Clark. This week we're commemorating the birth of Jamaica's first national hero, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. It's therefore fitting to pause and reflect on the life and work of this great man.
Talking about Marcus Garvey, Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Born in St. Anne's Bay, Jamaica, on August 17, 1887, Marcus Garvey was the youngest of 11 children. Garvey moved to Kingston at the age of 14, found work in a print shop, and became acquainted with the abysmal living conditions of the laboring class. He quickly involved himself in social reform, participating in the first Printers' Union strike in Jamaica in 1907 and in setting up the newspaper, The Watchman. Leaving the island to earn money to finance his projects, he visited Central and South America, amassing evidence that black people everywhere were victims of discrimination. He visited the Panama Canal Zone and saw the conditions under which the West Indians lived and worked. He went to Ecuador, Nicaragua, Honduras, Colombia, and Venezuela. Everywhere, blacks were experiencing great hardships. Garvey returned to Jamaica, distressed at the situation in Central America, and appealed to Jamaica's colonial government to help improve the plight of West Indian workers in Central America. His appeal fell on deaf ears. Garvey also began to lay the groundwork of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, to which he was to devote his life. Undaunted by the lack of enthusiasm for his plans, Garvey left for England in 1912 in search of additional financial backing. While there, he worked on a publication called The African Times and began to study the history of Africa, particularly the exploitation of by colonial powers. In 1914, Garvey organized the Universal Negro Improvement Association and its coordinating body, the African Communities League. In 1920, the organization held its first convention in New York. The convention opened with a parade down Harlem's Lenox Avenue. That evening, before a crowd of 25,000, Garvey outlined his plan to build an African nation state. In New York City, his ideas attracted popular support and thousands enrolled in the UNIA. Garvey began publishing the newspaper The Negro World and toured the United States, preaching black nationalism to popular audiences. His efforts were successful, and soon the association boasted over 1,000 branches in more than 40 countries. Most of these branches were located in the United States, which had become the UNIA's base of operations. There were, however, offices in several Caribbean countries, Cuba having the most. Branches also existed in places such as Panama, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Venezuela, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Namibia, and South Africa. Marcus Garvey also launched some ambitious business ventures, notably the Black Star Shipping Line. In the years following the organization's first convention, the UNIA began to decline in popularity. With the Black Star Line in serious financial difficulties, Garvey promoted two new business organizations, the African Communities League and the Negro Factories Corporation. He also tried to salvage his colonialization scheme by sending a delegation to appeal to the League of Nations for transfer to the UNIA of African colonies taken from Germany during World War I. Financial betrayal by trusted aides and a host of legal entanglements based on charges that he had used the U.S. mail to defraud prospective investors eventually led to Garvey's imprisonment in an Atlanta federal penitentiary for a 5-year term. In 1927, his half-served sentence was commuted and Garvey was deported to Jamaica by order of President Calvin Coolidge. Garvey then turned his energies to Jamaican politics, campaigning on a platform of self-government, minimum wage laws, and land and judicial reform. He was soundly defeated at the polls, however, because most of his followers did not have the necessary voting qualifications. In 1935, Marcus Garvey left for England, where, in near obscurity, he died on June 10, 1940, in a cottage in West Kensington. In retrospect, his life's work contributed tremendously to the development of black pride and self-confidence worldwide. In 1962, Marcus Garvey was named Jamaica's first national hero. And now, to end Jamaican roots and culture, here's our famous quotation from the Black diaspora. Up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. The words of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. For Jamaican Roots and Culture, I'm Pat Clark.
Do you speak African? Well, neither do the 1.1 billion people in Africa.
There's no reason the nation of Africa cannot and should not join the ranks of the world's most prosperous nations.
It's not actually a country. It's a continent of 54 very different nations and more than 2,000 languages. But it's constantly misunderstood or misrepresented. Any mention these days of what was once called the Dark Continent conjures up lazy images of war, famine, corruption, or disease. Who has time to mention the 22 Nobel laureates from 9 different African countries, right? And guess where 4 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are located? Not in Europe. Yep, they're in Africa, which of course has issues with poverty and inequality. But let's not forget that 1 in 3 Africans is middle class, and the continent is one of the fastest growing markets in the world for mobile phones. And guess which one of these 2 places is in Africa? Wrong. But all this growth comes from foreign aid, right? That's where most of the money comes from, surely. From Western handouts. Nope, not true. In fact, foreign aid represents only 2% of Africa's total GDP. In 2010, Africans living outside of Africa sent more cash back to their families at home than the rest of the entire world provided to the continent in foreign aid. How about the plight of poor African women? Well, the continent has had 7 female presidents. The United States, still waiting, I'm afraid. Meanwhile, Rwanda has the highest proportion of female parliamentarians in the world, 64%. Over in the UK Parliament, it's a record 29%. But you know what? It's important that we focus only on the doom and gloom across the continent, because every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes by.
You know, say, my mind I tell me to play over that something, yeah? Yes, because we want the people them. We want to hear it. We want to hear it. For all of you who think Africa is this backward place, and it's a continent. It's not a country, it's a continent. When I say why you don't pick an African language, it's 50 different country with hundreds of languages. The biggest known African language in Africa is Swahili. But listen.
Do you speak African? Well, neither do the 1.1 billion people in Africa.
There's no reason the nation...
Do you speak African? Well, neither do the 1.1 billion people in Africa.
There's no reason the nation of Africa cannot and should not join the ranks of the world's most prosperous nations.
It's not actually a country. It's a continent of 54 very different nations and more than 2,000 languages. But it's constantly misunderstood or misrepresented. Any mention these days of what was once called the Dark Continent conjures up lazy images of war, famine, corruption, or disease. Who has time to mention the 22 Nobel laureates from 9 different African countries, right? And guess where 4 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are located? Not in Europe. Yep, they're in Africa, which of course has issues with poverty and inequality. But let's not forget that 1 in 3 Africans is middle class, and the continent is one of the fastest growing markets in the world for mobile phones. And guess which one of these two places is in Africa? Wrong. But all this growth comes from foreign aid, right? That's where most of the money comes from, surely. From Western handouts. Nope, not true. In fact, foreign aid represents only 2% of Africa's total GDP. In 2010, Africans living outside of Africa sent more cash back to their families at home than the rest of the entire world provided to the continent in foreign aid. How about the plight of poor African women? Well, the continent has had 7 female presidents. The United States, still waiting, I'm afraid. Meanwhile, Rwanda has the highest proportion of female parliamentarians in the world, 64%. Over in the UK Parliament, it's a record 29%. But you know what? It's important that we focus only on the doom and gloom across the continent, because every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes by.
You're trying to identify the different people on this track here. You know, Barry G, you have Barbara Gludan, Poets in Unity. I mean, yours truly, Junior Reid. I mean, you name it, Third World. Whole heap of ones come together a long time too, you know. Yeah, I think I've gone over 20 years, you know. That Junior make tribute to Garvey, Africa for Africans, those at home and those abroad. Okay, so you know, so we play certain things all the while, I have to keep playing it. I will not stop play it and play it and play it. Well, tonight is no different. Since we are dealing with Marcus, we could go and deal with Marcus for a time. We want to play the album, well, it's an album actually we get. Hear me Ashud Garvey. It's one of them tracks where you hardly hear me Ashud Garvey. You know them where the people are here Ashud Garvey. I talk about Marcus Garvey's first wife. Hear me Ashud Garvey. You know, we had a cheer where Marcus Garvey used to work at where the place where make the whole heap of aisles and things. Benjamin, there down at East Street, them used to work there. We get a chair, we turn it over to the library in down on down at King Street, the Marcus Garvey Liberty Hall. If you go down there, you see this long chair, but we have a little book. We have a little book where Marcus Garvey used to write in when them they are prison. And you know, say, me that look for the book yesterday, and yesterday me I look for the book and I can't find it, you know, but me I go find it. It's a little book where Marcus Garvey used to write in when him there prison, him write a sketches, have a whole heap of things tonight. And this album, we still have the album. I'm going to play it. But this time we transfer it to CD, and then we transfer it to the computer, you know, hard drive, so it preserved well now. So all the while we play it, I'm going to play it again. This is something where you hardly hear. It's like a gem. If you hear me, I should describe. And even the ceremony we keep before the meeting start and all them things there. So here we go now. Here we go.
This is a souvenir recording in memory of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, the Jamaican hero who pointed the way to African independence in his clarion call for a new day and a new and greater destiny for his people.
Ethiopia, the land of our fathers, the land where the gods love to be. The storm cloud and night sudden gathers, armies rushing to thee. We must in the fight be victorious when swords are thrust at back to bleed. For us will the victory be glorious when led by the red, black and green. Advance
Garvey slumbers, but his immortal spirit, like a mighty dynamo, vital, alive, ennobling, still inspires his people along the path to human dignity, racial pride, and national sovereignty. The ideals for which he fought, lived, and died.
Shine on eternal light, to greater soul this day, dispel the loneliness of night, and drive all doubts away. All longing eyes prepare, when war and strife shall cease, to view the sun to appear, what will
That was the processional hymn. Time marches on, death rends asunder the filial bond that links the human heart. Life's drama folds and refolds, and the melody of the immortal greats and their accomplishments linger on. Listen to the spiritual self of the immortal Marcus Garvey. In poetry, in song, and in music, the memory of a people is best portrayed.
Oh, Africa, awaken, the morning is at hand. No more art thou forsaken, oh, bounteous motherland. Far from thy sons and daughters are hastening back to thee. Wings on the waters, that Africa shall be free. O land of tropic splendor, of bright blue skies above, to thee our best we tender, O land of light and love. Someday we'll know thy story, we'll drink thy cup of mirth, revive thine ancient glory, and bring the gods to earth. Oh, Africa, oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, who was Marcus Garvey? Who was this man whom Bishop Ranson of the AME Church called the mightiest prophet of the age? Who was this man of whom the erudite James Weldon Johnson once said, he had the daring and energy of the Napoleonic personality that draws masses of followers. He stirred the imagination of the masses as no other leader ever had. In the course of time, this man, Garvey, brushed aside the Goliaths of the first independent nation in the Caribbean, and he became Jamaica's first national hero. Who was Marcus Garvey? Marcus Mosiah Garvey was a man earthbent for the eternal search of oneness with the universe. He was born at sunrise in the beautiful garden parish of St. Anne, Jamaica, West Indies, on the 17th day of August, 1887, near the falls of the roaring river, where he grew with nature and drank much of her inspiration. He was of humble birth and was the 8th child of Sarah and Marcus Mosiah Garvey Sr. Garvey was born in an atmosphere of prophecy. When his father first saw him, so close a resemblance did he bear him. He was overcome with joy, and he lifted him up in his arms and cried out, "Your name shall be Messiah, and you shall someday be a Moses." There was nothing in the drab lamplit setting in which Garvey stood to speak in his native St. Anne that night in October 1914, which gave the slightest flicker of the shape of things to come. No one present, not even Garvey himself, believed that the stern-faced man standing so nervously before him in Jamaica would someday hold a star aloft and urge millions to gaze on it and follow him. Marcus Garvey set out on the lonely trail of smashing many of the preconceived ideas which made the black man inferior in his thinking, such as to believe that he was belonging to a vicious and predestined evil race, that God and the angels were white, that he, the black man, personified the devil, who was reputedly black, that he was the likeness of black magic and misfortune, the son of Ham, a hewer of wood and drawer of water, and that all the creation of the dominant white civilization, calculated to foster the concept of white supremacy, was ordained by God. Garvey was an angry man. He smote his chest and demanded to know the author of the scurrilous wicked forgery 4,000 years after Noah had gone to his grave in peace. When he spoke in Madison Square Garden, he served notice on all the nations squatting in Africa to get out before the wrath of 400 million black men, women, and children hurled them into the sea. Arising from obscurity, Garvey's never-to-be-forgotten oratory took him to the very apex of fame. Millions unquestionably followed him. Such were the conditions of his people, bowed down with inferiority complex for hundreds of years, that Garvey visibly touched to tears and compassion in the deliverance of his message, emphatically thundered, "Up, ye mighty race! You can accomplish what you will. The black man of yesterday has disappeared from the stage of human activities forever, and in his place stands a new man, erect, conscious of his manhood and rights, and fully determined to preserve himself at all costs." Marcus Garvey, in his finest hour in Liberty Hall, New York, in the 1920s, addressing the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, said so many things applicable to the conditions of today. To read the world's history of races written by some writers gives the impression that the black man amounted to nothing in the creation. We are satisfied, however, to know that our race gave the first great civilization to the world. For centuries, our ancestral home was the seat of learning, and here black men who were fit for the gods were philosophers, scientists, artists, and men of vision and leadership. On the other hand, our traducers were groping in darkness and continental barbarism. Black men, you were once great, and you will be great again. Great men have come out of Egypt, out of Ethiopia, out of Africa, Sahara. Great men will come out of America, the West Indies, and the islands of the seas. Our history is as great as that of any race or people, and nothing on this side of heaven or hell will make us deny it, notwithstanding the false treaties, essays, speculation, and philosophies. Their arrogance is but skin deep, and an assumption that has no foundation in morals nor law. When we were embracing the sciences on the banks of the Nile, when our civilization had reached the noonday of progress, their ancestors were still running naked and sleeping in holes with bats, rats, and other animals. Garvey's messianic message to the groping millions of his race would surely bring him to Golgotha. His leadership would emancipate millions from the shackles of mental and moral servitude. It was the great gulf, it was the violent contrast between the upper and middle classes and the people of his race, which made the first telling impact on the mind of the youthful Garvey. Illiteracy and grinding poverty were the two decisive factors which contributed to his impact. Like Socrates, Garvey geared himself for his cup of hemlock, like a Christ on his way to a blood-stained cross. Before his death, however, in 1940, he would have the satisfaction of knowing that a squalid century after the emancipation of 1838, the men and systems against whom he fought such a good fight had lost forever their footing on the ladder of imperial and economic power. Marcus Garvey left you a special message, my children. Let no voice but your own speak to you from the depths. Let no voice but your own rouse you in time of peace or war. Hear all, but attend only to that which concerns you. Your allegiance shall be to your God, then to your family, race, and country. Remember always that the Jew, in his political and economic urge, is always first a Jew. The Caucasian is first a Caucasian under all circumstances, and you can do no better than to be first and always a black man. Be sure to teach your children science and religion, for it lies as our only hope to withstand the evil designs of modern materialism. Lift up your hearts and repeat to yourselves the words of the African poet Terence. I am a man, and I think that nothing that is common to humanity is foreign to me. Garvey endeared himself to his thousands of listeners when he dramatized and immortalized the heroes and heroines of Afro-American history. Through the power of his oratory, Garvey showed them that Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman were equally deserving of a niche in the Hall of Fame as Martha Washington and Betsy Ross. They were made to feel that the muse which inspired Phyllis Wheatley was no less fine than that of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. The black poet Paul Laurence Dunbar was made to take his place with the great poets of the world. It was seen that the African General Hannibal surpassed Napoleon in military genius, and Toussaint Louverture and Antonio Maceo were worthy of comparison with George Washington and Lord Kitchener. Marcus Garvey's spellbound audiences heard that Crispus Attucks was as great as Patrick Henry, and that the Ethiopian Queen of Sheba outshone Britain's Queen Victoria in the splendor of her court. Solomon, in his wisdom, towered above Gladstone. King Menelik was more than Abe Lincoln. Never before had the descendants of the slaves been so uplifted. Marcus Garvey delivered that message, and all the world wondered. Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. It was the same message delivered 4,000 years before by the Jewish patriot, let my people go. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of his journey, we pause to assess his work and worth. We find that Marcus Garvey has left his people in America at the crossroads of history and destiny. The now 38 independent states in Africa are the first of the fruits of them that slept in the chronology of his prophecy. To quote his own words, hail, United States of Africa, hail. Also Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Guyana, and his own homeland, Jamaica, still on the wave of freedom. The associated states within the British Commonwealth of Nations, Grenada, Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Dominica, Anguilla, and the British Virgin Islands, flying the flag of freedom and independence and echoing the voice of Marcus Garvey. Whatever his failings, Marcus Garvey brought fresh hope and courage to his people. Mankind has benefited because Marcus Garvey passed here. And who knows, but someday posterity will confirm him in the title of the Black Moses. Then millions of black men, women, and children will make the pilgrimage to his shrine in Jamaica, for they will have come to pray and kneel at the tomb of the father of African independence. Oh, he vowed to win his race its destiny, to lift them up from ignorance and hell. With deathless courage, fashioned victory, fighting on equal field. What if he fell? He's gone, 'tis true, but history yet will tell that Marcus Mosiah Garvey did his work, and he did it well.
Yes, that was Amy Ashford Garvey. For those of you who never heard the voice before, for those of you who don't know, she is the first wife of Marcus Garvey. Ironically, his next wife was also Amy, Amy Jakes Garvey. That road where you say on Mountain View Avenue, they saw. Yeah, name from our family. Amy Jakes Garvey, Amy Ashford, and that was Amy Ashford talking about her husband, elevating him and recognizing and claiming him also. Wonderful. This Sunday, we will be celebrating again Marcus Garvey appearance on this earth, the 17th of August. We want the people them to know, say, it is the biggest Marcus Garvey event in Jamaica. We would have hoped that the people them who make him a national hero would recognize him as such. Just like how them have the independence celebration. Marcus Garvey is deserving of such celebration. But that's the way it go. We're not going to make that deter us from recognizing the greatness. So, Sunday, Marcus Garvey Earth Day. A group of people who used to follow Marcus Garvey is the Owelites. One heap of people never hear the Owelites. You know, say, well, I may tell you, say, after 20 years, we still have to do the same thing over and over. It's funny. It's funny. It's serious, but it's funny. After 20 years, we still have to do the same thing over and over, you know. And this is one of the things that we're going to do over now. This is the Owelites. Live Owelites, yes.
The chance that them had a pinnacle at such time and even now and 7 more.
We have another prayer, the mother prayer. Mother prayer.
Oh, Mother creation, defend me against my enemy and against all my enemies. Visible and invisible, and deliver me from all evil. Give me grace to triumph over all my adversaries. All enemies fly at the sight of Mother. She's the lioness of the tribe of Judah. She's the race of King David who was conquered. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Savior of this world, save and suffer me. Go and purchase me by thy blood, O Mother, suffer me. I conjure thee, Mother, an immortal mother, have pity upon me, oh mother. Forsake me not, reject not my prayer, oh mother of my salvation. Do assist me always.
Yes, that is the Oilites, mother of creation. Yeah, man, mother of creation. Cutting edge.
It is already too late, said Mutabaruka sadly. Our own men and our sons have joined the ranks of the stranger. They have joined his religion, and they help to uphold his government. If we should try to drive out the white men in Umuofia, we should find it easy. There are only 2 of them. But what of our own people who are following their way and have been given power? They would go to Umuru and bring the soldiers, and we would be like Abame. He paused for a long time and then said, I told you on my last visit to Mbanta how they hanged Aneto. What has happened to that piece of land in dispute? Asked Okonkwo. The white man's court has decided that it should belong to Nama's family, who had given much money to the white man's messengers and interpreter. Does the white man understand our custom about land? How can he, when he does not even speak our tongue? But he says that our customs are bad, and our own brothers who have taken up his religion also say that our customs are bad. How do you think we can fight when our own brothers have turned against us? The white man is very clever. He came peaceably and quietly with his religion. We were amused at his foolishness and allowed him to stay. Now he has won our brothers, and our clan can no longer act like one. He has put a knife on the things that held us together, and we have fallen apart.
Yes, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We're there with you. We're there with you. Okay, here we go. Yes, I hope you're still there with me. Because we there still, you understand? So me meet a little sister the other night up at DJ Snow birthday thing. She named Rose from Togo. And when I said Togo, I don't mean that she come from Togo. She's a Jamaican who used to live in a Togo. Real rebel girl. We want to heal up Rose, you know. You think we forget you? We don't forget you. We want to heal up the rebel girl, Rose, who used to live in a Togo, who used to live in a France, who used to live all about the place. And therefore, with a Jamaica, yeah. We are playing the song of her, you know. Believe you me, because she into her African thing. She into her African thing. Trust me. Here we go again. The music can wake up all the dead man, may I tell you. Sweet music from Senegal, out of West Africa. If you want to know, them talk French there and English and them own a language, man, lingo. But there's a man by the name of Shekante Diop. Shekante Diop. One of the greatest scholars out of Africa who proved to the world that the Egyptians and the pharaohs were black people. Yes, we talk about testing, going at the pyramid, them go test that. Prove that them was black people. Shekante Diop. And then you have Amadou Bamba, Sheikh Amadou Bamba, one of the spiritual head of the Bafals in Senegal. Yeah, man. Okay, here we go. Let me see if we can get it right here.
We're not unique in its sins as a country. We're not unique in our evils, to be honest with you. I think where we may be singular is our refusal to acknowledge them. And the legends and myths we tell about our inherent, goodness to hide and cover and conceal so that we can maintain a kind of willful ignorance that protects our innocence. See, the thing is that when the Tea Party was happening, we were saying, pundits, it's just about economic populism. It's not about race. When people knew, social scientists were already writing that what was driving the Tea Party were anxieties about demographic shifts, that the country was changing, that they were seeing these racially ambiguous babies on Cheerios commercials, that the country wasn't quite feeling like it was a white nation anymore. And people were screaming from the top of their lungs, this is not just simply economic populism. This is the ugly underbelly of the country. See, the thing is this, and I'll say this, and I'll take the hit on it. There are communities that have had to bear the brunt of white Americans confronting the danger of their innocence. And it happens every generation. So somehow we have to oh my God, is this who we are? And just again, here's another generation of babies. Think about it, that 2-year-old had his bones broken by 2 parents trying to shield him from being killed. A woman who has been married to this man for as long as I've been on the planet almost, lost her husband. For what? And so what we know is that the country has been playing politics for a long time on this hatred. We know this. So it's easy for us to place it all on Donald Trump's shoulders. It's easy for us to place Pittsburgh on his shoulders. It's easy for me to place Charlottesville on his shoulders. It's easy for us to place El Paso on his shoulders. This is us. And if we're going to get past this, we can't blame it on him. He's a manifestation of the ugliness that's in us. I've had the privilege of growing up in a tradition that didn't believe in the myths and the legends because we had to bear the brunt of them. Either we're going to change, Nicole, or we're going to do this again and again, and babies are going to have to grow up without mothers and fathers, uncles and aunts, friends, while we're trying to convince white folk to finally leave behind a history that will maybe, or embrace a history that might set them free from being white. Finally.
What else?
Lord help us.
Yeah, man, may I tell you, the man you blow, Hugh Masekela was exiled outside of South Africa, just like Miriam Makeba and many others during their apartheid times. And up to about 3 years before or 4 years before Nelson Mandela died, he was seen as a terrorist by America in the books. The ANC was seen as a terrorist organization. Never come out of the book. I don't even know if them still come out of the books. Yes, ANC was seen as a terrorist organization. Can you imagine that? Man coming to your land, take your land, enslave the people, them and all them something there. Disenfranchise them and all these things, and it just become a terrorist because you fight back. Because you're fighting back, you are a terrorist. May I tell you, man, we'll continue the journey.
Hello, I'm Jared Taylor with American Renaissance. Most people think that the United States was, from the very beginning, dedicated to the idea of racial equality. Yes, they say there was slavery and segregation, but we were always working to fulfill the promise of all men are created equal. Of course, Thomas Jefferson, who wrote those words, was a slaveholder who didn't think the races were equal at all. But that phrase from the Declaration of Independence will haunt his memory forever. Not many people know that in 1776, there were black slaves in all 13 colonies and in the entire New World, from Canada to the tip of South America. In 1770, 40% of the white households in Manhattan owned slaves, and there were more slaves in the colony of New York than in Georgia. 9 of the first 11 presidents were slaveholders. The 2 exceptions were John Adams and John Quincy Adams.
Jefferson thought slavery was a bad thing and that slaves would eventually be freed, but he wanted freed slaves sent back to Africa. There's a quotation from him on the wall of the Jefferson Memorial that goes like this: "Nothing is more certainly written in the book of fate than that these people are to be free." Well, in the original, Jefferson didn't stop there, adding, "Nor is it less certain that the two races equally free cannot live in the same government." That part has been conveniently forgotten. He wanted blacks deported and separated from whites so that they would be, and I quote, "beyond the reach of mixture." James Madison agreed. He wanted the U.S. government to buy up every slave and deport them. After he served as president, he ran the American Colonization Society, which was set up to send blacks back to Africa. At the inaugural meeting of the society, Henry Clay explained its purpose, quote, "to rid our country of a useless and pernicious, if not dangerous, portion of the population." Some of the most famous early Americans were not just members of the Colonization Society, they were officers. Besides Madison, there were Andrew Jackson, Daniel Webster, Stephen Douglas, William Seward, Francis Scott Key, Winfield Scott, and John Marshall. James Monroe worked so hard to help freed American slaves leave the country and establish Liberia that grateful Liberians named their capital Monrovia in his memory. The founders wanted blacks out and whites in. After the U.S. Constitution was ratified, the very first United States Congress had to decide who could be an American. They passed a law that said only, quote, "free white persons" could be citizens of the new country. Blacks couldn't be citizens even if they had been living in the colonies for generations. It took an amendment to the Constitution in 1868 for blacks to become citizens. And American Indians didn't finally become U.S. citizens until 1924. From colonial times on, there was strong opposition to mixed-race marriage. Massachusetts prohibited miscegenation from 1705 to 1843 and repealed the ban only because people thought it wasn't needed. They thought the idea of mixing was so repellent that no one would do it even if it were legal. Of the 50 United States, 44 at one time had laws prohibiting interracial marriage. White people did not want blacks to vote. In 1855, there were 31 states in the Union, but blacks could vote only in 4. All of them were in New England, and together they had only 4% of the total black population of the country. The federal government made sure that blacks couldn't vote in the territories. When Oregon joined the Union in 1859, its constitution stated that no black person could come, live in, or even visit the state. But Abraham Lincoln, the great emancipator, didn't he believe in racial equality? No. During the Lincoln-Douglas debates, he said this: "I am not."
Here we go again. I thought.
Nor ever have been in favor of making voters or jurors out of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermarry with white people. There is a physical difference between the white and black races which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together on terms of social and political equality. Lincoln agreed with Jefferson. He wanted to free the slaves and then deport them. In 1862, Lincoln had the Civil War on his hands, but he was so worried about what to do with free blacks that he named a commissioner on immigration and sent him off to look for countries that would take in the blacks he wanted to be rid of. He also sent a message to Congress calling for free blacks to be deported. U.S. presidents usually say only bland, non-controversial things. Well, this is what some of them said about race. James Garfield wrote, "I have a strong feeling of repugnance when I think of the Negro being made our political equal, and I would be so glad if they could be colonized, sent to heaven, or got rid of in any decent way." Theodore Roosevelt wrote that he had, quote, not been able to think out any solution to the terrible problem offered by the presence of the Negro on this continent. As for Indians, he said, quote, I don't go so far as to think that the only good Indians are the dead Indians, but I believe 9 out of 10 are, and I shouldn't inquire too closely into the health of the 10th. William Howard Taft once told a group of black college students, your race is adapted to be a race of farmers, first, last, and for all times. Warren Harding thought the races would always be separate. Quote, this is not a question of social equality, but a question of recognizing a fundamental, eternal, inescapable difference. Harry Truman wrote, I am strongly of the opinion that Negroes ought to be in Africa, yellow men in Asia, and white men in Europe and America. He also referred to the black servants in the White House as, quote, an army of coons. Dwight Eisenhower told Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren he understood why Southerners wanted segregated schools. They didn't want, quote, their sweet little girls to sit in schools alongside some big black box. He said that what he regretted most about his 8 years as president was sending federal troops to Little Rock, Arkansas to enforce school integration. It's not until John Kennedy, elected in 1960, that we have a president with views on race that just might be considered acceptable today. Because now, of course, we are supposed to think that race doesn't even exist. And even if it did, it would be immoral to base any decision on race. As I think I've made clear, this is a very recent way of thinking. From colonial times right up through the mid-20th century, virtually all white people believed race was an essential part of the American identity. They understood that people of different races are different and build different kinds of societies. They thought only Europeans would make the United States the kind of country that they would want to pass on to their children. So, there are two views. There is the consensus on race that lasted for more than 300 years, and there's today's view that races are perfectly equal and interchangeable, and that American can become black, Hispanic, Asian, Muslim, Hindu, anything at all. And not only will it be still America, it'll be better than ever.
We're still there, you know. I want you to listen to this, you know. Listen to this. Believe you me, these things is, you know, a lot of people out there wonder where we get them things from. But it's true, we network large. People just send me things. Here we go. Listen to this.
So let me take you back to 1971, and it was Reagan, who was, by the way, the governor of California at the time, was on the phone with then President Richard Nixon. And so during this conversation, Reagan referred to leaders of African nations as, quote, monkeys, and then President Nixon gets in his own dig. Here you go.
And last night I took it to watch that thing on television, and that did. To see those monkeys from those African countries. And they're still uncomfortable wearing shoes.
Well, and then the tail wags the dog there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The tail wags the dog.
That's it. That's it. Reagan from the phone. Leaders of African countries are monkeys. That's Ronald Reagan, the same Reagan who sent helicopter and plane come to Africa and wipe out the ganja of Westmoreland. Yeah, with the aiding and abetting of the government of Jamaica. You think them easy, but we know them. We know them. Just like what the man just tell you about the different presidents who was slave owners and who was racist. And you hear black people all the while always talk about Lincoln this and Lincoln that. He was one of the racists too. Yes, the people that talk about Lincoln this and Lincoln that, the great emancipator and all them things. He was one of the racists. Here we go.
The Council of Nicaea. was an effort by Constantine to control the people through military and through religion. Whoever can control your concept of God has a weapon more powerful than any physical weapon, than any sword, any gun, any atomic weapon. Whoever controls how you relate to the unseen presence of God will not only control you, but can control your children and your children's children. So it was at the Council of Nicaea that the Constantine, this emperor, needed to find a way to consolidate his power, because the people that he conquered in various parts of the world had different religions, different ideologies. And it was at Nicaea where he brought together these theologians, these scholars, if you will, to hammer out one uniform theology that everyone would follow.
And if Constantine could convince people to take Jesus as God on earth and change that he was a human being, then they could take over the control of the Catholic Church and make one. So they invited. And one of the priests was an African known as Arius. Bishop Arius. There's a book called Blacks Who Died for Jesus by Mark Hyman. Gives the story of Arius. Arius now gets word that Constantine knows Arius is coming to dispute this. Because he's saying, how are you going to tell people this? Nobody's going to believe that story. That Immaculate Conception, come on. You know, that's written on the walls of Egypt. That's a mythology. That's an analogy. You're not supposed to believe that story. That's a nice story to live by, that each and every one of us has Jesus within us and every birth is an Immaculate Conception. But there was no one boy born as the Son of God to free. Come on, you can't. Constantine said, look, come on over here. And I said, I want to talk to you. He found out that he was going to be assassinated. So he fled into Europe with his followers. Arius and his followers became known as the Aryans. Wouldn't Hitler have a heart attack if he knew who the real Aryans were? They were a bunch of black folk.
Everybody who was worshiping ISIS and dealing with mostly a Kemetic religious philosophy, they said, we can't do this. This is ridiculous. This reminds me, there's no man called Jesus Christ. We ain't never heard of him. Well, Jesus Christ will take Jesus, which was the sun god in the West, and we'll take Christos, which was the sun god in the East, and we'll put them together. We'll have a name. And so what did he do? A man named Apollonius of Tyana, at that time, who had studied philosophy in Kemet, was teaching. He was a healer, working miracles. He was a hero at that time. So he became the template for Jesus Christ.
This is the continuation I refer me, so we're going to come forward here from 2 to 5:45, little more, with the stepping razor, the art of war, matrix in the building. Yes, matrix in the building. So, I will play the last song. Don Carlos was the lead singer. Before there was Michael Rose, there was Don Carlos in the Black Euro group. You didn't know that? You didn't know about Don Carlos, you see? Matrix never know that, Said Don Carlos was in Black Euro.
That was like 70.
You'll have 3 of them, Gatti, Don Carlos, and the lead. You know what the lead? Which one me not call? So I'm going to look in the telephone book. All right, you're right. And Ducky. Can be ready for looking at the telephone book, All right, Don Carlos, Ducky, and Gatti was Black Euro. You understand? Well, Don Carlos was solo with a brother named Don Carlos and Goal. Yes, Don Carlos and Goal. He's a kind of brown skin youth like, but I don't know where him there. But Don Carlos still about a tour. Yes. So, we don't know, we're gone till later. This is Don Carlos, Hagan Goat.